talking about junior boards, right? And the adult and youth partnerships that we're going to create with the junior board. So this activity we're going to do is we need to find a partner. So if we don't have a partner, we can get in groups of 3. And what you're going to do is you are going to draw a penny without looking at a penny. So you can't look at a penny, but you're going to draw a penny. And you're going to use each other, you know, to, you got to think about, what does a penny look like? I'm sure we've seen a penny like 100 million times, right? But we have to use each other and kind of draw that penny, right?
Excuse me, what did you say I was going to draw?
Oh, sorry, a penny.
Penny.
Draw a penny. But you're going to use each other, like you're going to group up, and you're going to compare, like just brainstorm ideas, like, oh yeah, well it has a head, it has, you know, it has it's Abe Lincoln, you got to just draw, you know.
Which way is he facing?
Put together.
That way.
So one person can be drawing a head and the tails. You can do it that way, or one person can just draw, one person can give ideas. So, so as I was telling them, one person can draw the head of a penny, one can draw the tails, or one person can draw one, and then the other person can just give ideas, like, oh, it says this, or, you know. You guys understand? It's kind of confusing, but.
That sounds good. You'll draw it?
She's not a stuff in.
But don't look at a penny though. I'll give you guys a few more minutes, just a couple more minutes to draw that penny.
I think some of our people went to a different meeting. I'm gonna go over there and look and make sure.
We're the only three that went around somebody.
Good morning, we're coming.
Did you get those?
I got food while I was over there too.
I got honey.
Some of the faces are a little bit familiar over here. I didn't know nobody.
This is a year like I'm
Yeah, I've been a long way.
Okay, so those of you that just came in, find a partner, and we're drawing a penny without looking at a penny. So you're going to talk with each other, kind of work together to draw the penny.
So think about the edges of the penny, think about the different stamps that are on a penny,
Yeah,
the
so
different
communicate.
shapes.
This activity is for you guys to communicate with each other. Effectively attack.
Columns.
That's all I remember right there. These statues in the middle, but I don't think it shows.
A whole bunch of them.
Mostly the columns is what you notice, I think. I'm not sure how detailed it is.
Are they doing both sides?
Yeah. You guys have to do both sides too.
She'd go. Yeah.
No, this is very cool.
So make sure you guys are working together with somebody because this is the whole point is to partner with someone.
Something says clearance. Or maybe that's just bills. Might just be
Maybe it's
bills.
a sin. CDNG and Liberty.
It does seem like it's in the minutes. I'd say go for it. Now, there's a year on the front, and I can't remember if it's on the right or the left. I want to say the left, and then there's usually like a tiny little or something.
Ball games. We got some decent soccer players.
Anybody else coming? Anybody else coming? Is anybody else coming from over there?
We'll give maybe some stragglers a little more time to get over here, and then we'll kind of discuss this activity.
Hey, we've been on time, but we got
What's this thing?
diverted.
Sure.
I know, it's like twisted.
They had food over there.
I could do that.
We got
Jen,
food.
Thank you, I would have been.
I said, we got doubled up in there.
Somebody had to-
Yeah, we're registered over there too now.
And then the edges of the penny.
double credit.
Like, on the, the part you can't see in the picture, the 3D part, yeah, there's me.
Don't forget about where it was minted. Either it was Denver or
Anybody else coming?
Philadelphia. Think
Is there
about
anybody
that.
else like stragglers? Okay.
All right, has everybody drawed their penny? Oh, you already been in here. We were all supposed to. We're doing an activity. You can partner up and everything. It's to we're gonna draw a penny, the head of a penny and the tails of the penny, but working together without looking at a penny. So you're working with your little group of 3, 2, whatever you want, but you have to work with somebody. That's the whole point of this exercise.
Oh, there you go.
Wow, that really
She didn't say which kind of penny, did she?
Football players should know the different styles. I remember. Well, you flipped the coin, didn't you?
Which one do I push?
Track
This one?
Yep.
Okay.
Wheat pennies out there, anybody? Anybody draw one?
What is a wheat penny?
It's an older penny.
Oh.
The back of it.
Oh.
Wait, on my time. Instead of what's on the penny now, go back to the section.
Oh. Learn something new every day. Okay. Does anybody need more time? A little more time to draw the penny? Or you guys got it?
He's got it for him.
What are we doing? Yeah. But you can't look at a penny. You gotta think about it.
Without looking at a penny.
No. You gotta remember and then work together with somebody to create that penny.
1 cent piece.
Yes. But work together. You guys gotta bounce ideas off each other.
Cheat off your neighbor.
Is it a copper penny or is it one of the old metal pennies? 10 pennies. I don't. Honestly, I don't even know what's on the back of the penny. I just know a wheat penny.
Is it fake or real?
Real. A real penny.
I just wish I could remember what all was on there. Looks like a penny. Yeah, looks like a penny.
All right, I'll give you guys one more minute and then we'll start. All right, so everybody hold up your penny. Let's look at your pennies. I want to come around and look at them. My dad's an artist, so I can judge these. No, I'm just kidding.
Piece of it, not all of it. With Abe on it.
Abe.
Wayne and God we trust.
You wrote Abe. That's funny.
You gotta use your eyes to see that. If I know it's gonna be super young, I wouldn't.
Good.
I'm not an artist, that's for sure.
Those are the pennies, and that's the enlargement I started making.
Oh, yeah.
In case you couldn't see. But yeah, they don't shoot every
Oh, yeah. I'm checking. Oh, wow. That's good. That's good, too. Man, that's, like, good. Wow, that's good, too. You guys really worked hard on that. Okay. Oh, wow. You guys are good, too. Man. We got some artists in here. Okay, so for this exercise was to really work together on a certain task, right? And that's what we want to do within our organizations too. And with our youth, that's what we're going to be talking about today is the youth board. So we want to make sure that we're utilizing each other and working to one task and one goal. So what did you guys learn from your partner? Yeah, yeah, for sure.
How many heads did you get? How many tails did you get?
4 times.
Quite a bit.
We did.
Yeah. Everybody did both, I think. So
he's cheap.
So given that you guys have seen a penny a million times, 10 million times probably, what did you find easy about this task?
The head. We knew what the head was.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We knew it was round.
Yeah.
We all did.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's easy. So what did you find hard about doing this task?
Trying to remember everything.
Yeah. Right. So what different or similar skills did you guys have when you're working together with your groups?
We both didn't know what we were doing.
Anybody else? What did you find similar or different?
Different generations, remember, 2 different things.
Yeah. See, that works especially good right now when we're talking about youth and we're talking about adult partnerships. We're gonna come from 2 different generations. So we're gonna see 2 different sides of the world, basically. Different
Do
things.
you not have a microphone?
Can you not hear me?
That's what I
Does this not work out here? It doesn't work out here. So I'll just have to talk louder today. Okay. So what does this tell us about partnerships? This activity.
Sorry.
What did you learn? I'm gonna separate you guys over there.
Who you're with.
Maybe you should just come up closer.
We're gonna separate everybody here, you know?
Someone will know what you don't or remember something you don't.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah. There you go.
Everybody's ideas.
There you go, yes. So, how can we use this exercise to draw on your partner's skills in the future? What can we take away from this to implement into our organizations, or how we work with youth, or how we work with other people?
We have to be patient and remember to view the other person's opinion or idea and the value it has in it, because it's not always going to match yours.
Right, exactly.
You do everything on your own, you use others.
You do, yes.
Find the
Perfect.
talents of each, like somebody that can draw.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, you can utilize those different things in your organization. Someone might be good at planning events. Someone might be better at handling youth. You know, so use your resources. Use who you have in your organization. So I think that was it for that. Thank you guys for participating. Yay, give yourselves a round of applause. We have artists in here. Awesome. So the next thing, we're going to do another activity. And this activity is really to, are you guys ready for adult and youth partnerships? Is your organization ready? Are you ready? So we're going to fill out this little questionnaire thing and think about that. You know, think about, is your organization ready? Are you guys ready to implement youth? That's all we're talking about today is youth. I only have 10, I think, so do you guys want to share, maybe? Sure. Yeah, okay. I think I only brought 10.
Just get one per group.
Yeah, one per group. So you guys are a group, right? Yes. Are you part of their group?
I'm a group.
You're A group? All right. Are you guys a group together?
We're trying.
Okay, somebody fill that out, please. Okay.
I'm making her feel that.
All right. Because you drew, right? So now she's separate. All right. Yes. You guys are together, right? Or no?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, do you guys want to work together? Or do you want me to just give you guys a different one?
Sure, work together.
Okay. Well,
She can just
either
turn
one.
her. She can just turn her chair.
All right. Either one. I gave you one anyway. So whether you guys are going to implement youth into your organization or not, I think it's a good idea to really think about these questions. Because, you know, who's going to run your organization later in the future? You know? We're going to have to prepare those youth to come up and take our positions, so. And when you guys are done, you can just let me know and we'll go from there.
We have to answer the questions you say.
Yes, please.
We can't answer the first question.
Of course you guys can't.
So
I am gonna separate you guys.
what we are doing.
Yes.
We're the adults.
What are you guys? Are you guys adults or are you youth today? Which one?
It's like told Annie.
I'm not
Any
understanding
of you
either.
please.
I'm sort of messing up like them.
Mm-hmm.
How do we answer this question?
The first one?
Yes.
Can't read it. I don't even know what it says.
As an adult
Have you
or
ever
you?
had any youth partnership training? Just as youth. Has your organization had any training yet on youth and partnership, youth and adult partnerships?
Yeah.
You guys have?
I didn't have a choice. They brought their kids. I had to do something with them.
Oh, well, there's something that you can write. I had no
Okay.
choice to do, to learn.
Tell me, how am I going to answer this?
Well, if you haven't had any training, I would just put no. This is really just an assessment to figure out where you guys are as an organization. It's not like,
You train the ROTC to do it. You their part every morning. I would say that, yes, you can train with them because they set up, they take down, they do the flags.
They do the instructing to the master citizens.
So yeah, you've had multiple.
Yeah, there you go. This can be as an individual or an organization, however you want to answer that question, right? So of course, as an individual, right, you've had a lot of training with you. So, yeah.
Now training.
I don't know whether some of it was right or not, but I've tried it all, and what works I use, and what I don't work I just forget.
Smartness too numerous.
Yeah.
So we're planning to work with a group.
Yeah. So this is really an assessment. So I guess you can think about it that way. What size are you going to be working?
So if we take a group of youth of 5 people.
Because there is no such thing, though.
Yeah.
We're very limited, so
Right. I get that.
going to people groups and organizations, schools that support your efforts. Okay, so we would probably go with youth rather than adult. We've tried the adult, it's not working.
Oh.
So,
Yeah. So,
okay,
Okay.
okay. This is that.
What we do and what they're saying is two different things. Partnership, we can have music. Southern Cherokee Health, 4 more.
So like I said, this exercise is just an assessment, just to figure out where you guys are right now.
Weeding out the nuts.
You know, it's hard
Oh, I know.
to have a plan.
Yeah, that's the whole point of this exercise is
Yeah.
you gotta have a plan.
Let me ask you something, you're young.
Yes.
There's a big divide between mentalities between the older and the young. How, pray tell, do we get the young involved?
Well,
That's the problem we have right now.
Yeah.
We're beginning to rebuild, but we're mostly rebuilding people that are not young.
right. Well, do you
And-
guys have any?
So we really don't have any youth at all in our organization or anything. So we, that's hard because we gotta figure out how to reach
How to
them
reach
and bring them in.
Yeah. And one point I'm going to talk about today is a youth rep. So if you haven't ever thought about having a youth rep on your board, that would be a great idea.
We had one.
You had one?
We don't do it no more.
Yeah.
My niece.
Well, did you guys have? Did you give her enough tasks to complete? Did you give her?
I wasn't there.
Did you give her, worth? Did she pull worth?
Yeah, it's just figuring out how to reach them, how to get them to come in.
When I talked to the youth all over kids that are on scholarships, that has community hours our local jail
Well, we're going to kind of talk about some recruitment ideas too today. So maybe that can give you guys some ideas where to start. Let's see. Right. That's where it gets good.
My grandkids are in college, so, there's a big difference between his thinking and my thinking. And when you start talking about the youth, probably younger than him.
Kind of a training thing.
I only know one, and the only way to reach him is to take him through the woods. It's not gonna be in no meeting.
Take it with us when you make your food.
The rest, I had to try to come with the city folks, you got us customers.
Yeah.
And we don't think alike, we don't act alike, we don't.
Right. That's where we have that age gap, like our age gap in our thinking. That's a gap there that we need to bridge. So now we need to think about how we can do that. So I'm going to try to give you guys some ideas.
Bulbs to the clock, because they think about the environment. So I know we gotta work forward, just work on it.
In some organizations, they might have more difficulties reaching youth, because I know where I live in Proctor, and it's really more of an elderly community, so it's really hard to get those youth involved. But there's some steps we can take to kind of start.
That bridge is most difficult. Once you have a few, you can work with them.
Yeah.
And you can, you can get them reach out. But until you get the person to handle it, like grandpa invited grandsons over, let's go party. Okay, Bob. We're leaving at 9 o'clock. After we get you tucked in bed, then we'll have fun.
We're going to think about some ideas here. So, has everybody finished their assessments? Let's talk about our assessments. Are we ready? Is our organizations ready? How many of us aren't ready? Probably a lot of us. You know? Is there anything that you guys found while doing these assessments within your communities, yourself?
Yeah, we found we're really not, we don't have any kind of plan.
We don't have any kids.
That's the way we are. And it's kind of hard to, it's just something we have to work at.
Yeah. That can be kind of tough, though. So.
You're not the only ones with that problem. About 95% of the groups that we work with are in the same situation.
Yeah, it's not something we want to push aside,
Yeah.
just because it's not there, but yeah, that's making me think a little more toward that area now.
Yeah.
Where I didn't before.
Yeah.
Already.
Exactly. Anybody else have anything you want to share?
Well, when you speak of youth, how young are you going and what age groups, you know?
That's kind of up to your organization. Do you guys want to work with, high school students? Do you want to work with rather middle school students? Maybe college students? Where do you guys want to work? Who do you guys want to work with? That's kind of to get you guys thinking,
At this stage of our being, we need some high school students and some college students with motion.
Right.
To do our hard work.
So in your communities where you guys are, do you guys have that? Do you have those assets?
No. Not that we know of yet.
Maybe we can do some, I'm going to go through some recruitment ideas, and maybe that can kind of find out, where you can recruit and stuff. So we'll go through this. We'll get started here. So. All right. So this is a youth board implementing one into your organization. So when we're talking about youth, we're talking about whatever age group that you guys have in your organization, near your organizations, in your communities. How about you guys go through where we're at? Where are you guys located?
We're located down along the Illinois River, and we're in the process of building and raising money to get the building. But we're just in limbo right now. And we're having fundraisers, but we don't, just a bunch of old ladies working together. We need some muscle, So we're going to have to find some muscle somewhere.
Yeah, right.
We're in Concord.
Locust Grove. Okay.
We're from the Southern Cherokee Helpers. We're from 401 area.
Okay. You guys
We're
have?
from Collins.
Collinsville. Okay.
That's Victory Cherokee organization.
Okay. Collinsville. You guys have a high school there?
Yeah. Yeah, we had like three or four schools.
Wow, see, those are places we can recruit.
Yeah, well, that's what we're saying when we was talking about what you for your age group. First thing I thought of was teenagers.
Yeah.
You have a lot of them just reaching
Yeah.
for something like this.
Yeah, and like I said, teenagers, a lot of high school students, I know I was like that. I needed resume stuff to go on my resume. I need volunteer hours because I had scholarships,
See, we have a cemetery out there too that we take care of. We got two overlooks that overlook the property, and a lot of teenagers come out there just to go out there to the overlook. So now we need to practice. we got a plan now.
Like everything else, a plan. You trap a wild rabbit, and he can just die on you. So,
I mean, they're coming out there for the overlook, just to be out there, kids. And so we're trying to earn the money to refurbish the overlooks and get them back up to shape. And that may be something, we start talking to them about things like that.
Yeah.
Get involved, maybe help repair them.
It might be like,
If you try.
it might be like most things, though, you start with the younger ones, you go after to catch them, and you aren't big weed.
Worst thing they can do is say no.
Yeah, there you go. Where are you guys located? Claremore. You guys have a college there too, right? So, okay. And a high school, yeah. Were you guys like Oaks? Yeah, I don't know why. But you guys have a high school too. So a lot of these places have high schools, except for Illinois River, but they're near Tahlequah.
Right,
So.
in the college.
And the college, exactly. So there's some places we can recruit. So let's talk about our agenda today. So what I'm going to be talking to you guys about is what is a youth and junior board. And junior and youth board are basically the same things. You guys can call it anything you guys want. It can be a young professionals group if you guys want to use the college age kids. It can be however you guys want to word it. Then we're going to talk about why create a junior board and what are the benefits. When is it a good time to add a youth board? What to think about before you begin. And building a successful youth board. So your learning objectives today are how youth leadership can benefit your organization, community, and the youth. If it's the right time to add a youth board into your organization. We're going to find out if your organization, this is the right time for that. Ideas to think about in the pre-planning phase of your new youth board. So you have to do a pre-planning phase because this is where we're going to figure out if it's needed. It might not be needed. There might be some other things we can think about to get those youth involved. And the key ingredients for creating your youth board. So the first thing is, what is a youth board? The youth board is a junior board, is a body of young people that support a nonprofit's leadership. Serving on a junior board gives the young people a front row seat to the highest level of operations, providing them with exposure to everything from board governance to project management to budget and fundraising. So when you guys think about the junior boards, whenever you guys were younger, would you guys have liked to be on something that kind of prepared you for like how to run a board? Budgeting? No, you say no. And project management and fundraising. Because sometimes when we're coming into these organizations, we have no idea what we're doing. So we're kind of having to learn how to do that. But if we start the youth now, they'll be ready. They'll be ready to take your positions. They'll be ready. And it's not like a bad thing for them to take your positions. You want your organization to stand. So let's talk about why create a youth board and who will it benefit. It benefits the youth, it benefits the community, and it benefits your organization. So whenever I was in high school, I was on 2 junior boards. I was on the Arvest Bank board and I was on the People's Bank board. So even though these are for-profit organizations, you can also have nonprofit organizations. And if you do some research, you can see that there's a lot of organizations that are nonprofit that have junior boards. And so this can be a good thing because whenever I was on those junior boards, it really prepared me for where I am. So I probably couldn't have been up here talking to you guys today about this if I hadn't have been in a junior board. So you're preparing your future youth to be where they need to be. I know I have a friend that was on a youth council and he ended up going to Washington, D.C. He started doing a lot more youth work for Native Americans. So we're going to empower those youth. So we're going to learn some ways to empower those youth and why that we need a junior board. And like I said, not all organizations need a junior board. We might need a youth rep, like I was saying. That might be our first initial way to get youth involved with our organization.
A what?
A youth rep.
Rep.
Mm-hmm. So that'll be like, we can have youth on our board and kind of give us some ideas of where to recruit. Because they'll know where their age group is. So we want to utilize that. So let's talk about some benefits for the youth. Making tomorrow's leaders today. What does that mean for you guys? Think about that.
Good citizenship.
Yes. What did you say?
Training.
Training, yes. Anybody else? Yeah, those are both great examples of making tomorrow's leaders today. And that's what you guys would be doing. Empowerment and building confidence. That's another thing that we can do for our youth. So providing young people with opportunity to voice opinions about concerns that matter to them and participate in decision making can be empowering and may inspire them to take on greater initiative. So maybe you have some youth in your communities or organizations that you know just might need a little nudge to be empower them. And having a junior board or having a youth rep can empower those students or those children, those youth. So cultivating important life skills. That's another important thing that we can do. So they're tech savvy, they're talented, so they have all the skills, but they don't really know how to use it to help people, right? So that's what you guys would be doing, is teaching them how to use those skills to promote a better community or a better organization. So they need that. They need to use that. So other skills that they can have whenever you're benefiting the youth for a youth board is teamwork and cooperation, conflict resolution, time management and organization, communication and public speaking. That's another thing that you guys will be helping them do. Because a lot of us have conflict on our boards, right? Maybe we don't agree all the time. And we can show them. We can show them how to compromise and do conflict resolution. Another thing is engage in meaningful activities of leadership. So they can engage in more than just sitting at home playing video games, right? They can be out there volunteering. They can be out there making a difference. But maybe they don't know how to do that. You guys have to get out there and talk to them. Don't be scared to talk to them. Get out there and recruit them. They want to be in leadership positions, but they just might not know how. So benefits for the community, for the youth board, would be youth boards can raise awareness about issues affecting the community and the youth. Increase the number of youth getting involved with activities and projects. Create new service projects that benefit the community and or youth. And then benefits for the organization. Having a youth council will enable your organization to better represent the youth it serves. Your organization's members and partners will form a stronger connection with the community's youth. So just think about your organizations, and do you guys have a lot of interaction with youth? And no. So maybe a junior board might be a good idea, right? Or maybe a youth rep might be a good idea to try to make these stronger connections. And engage future organizational leaders. I put a star there because I've been talking about that all day, getting those youth ready to take those positions. Because you don't, like I said, you don't want your organization that you guys worked so hard to build up, you don't want to see it dwindle down, right? So we want to have some youth prepared to be able to take those positions. Because I think whenever youth serve on boards or get involved, they'll be more willing to help out later in life. So even if they go off to college, or they move away, or they even just stay in the community, they might be still wanting to help your community. That can be serving on your boards, that can be donating. You can partner with them if they have a local business. So you're going to create these partnerships with these youth that are going to be somebody one day, right? So you want to create that. The other thing is receive new energy and ideas about the issues the organization may face. So they're going to have new outlook on some things that you guys I don't know how to, these are some problems that we're having. We don't know how to reach that. We don't know how to fix this. They might have some better ideas. They might have some new energy to help you guys get ready to face on those problems. But you gotta have these youths come in. So we're gonna talk about when is a good time to add a youth board. So when is a good time? Anytime, right. Anytime is great to have a youth board. But here are some examples that I have, which basically means anytime. So when you're starting a new organization or initiative, especially but not limited to, one that addresses youth or youth issues. So a good time to start one maybe would be if you're just starting an organization, or if you have an organization like you guys do, but you're wanting to start a new initiative. So maybe you've never worked with youth before. So starting a youth board would be a good time to just branch out in your organization. Add some new flair into your organization. Another good time would be when your youth are not responding well to a program or initiative aimed at them. So does anybody have any youth in their organization or youth projects? Can you tell us about your youth projects? Is it well received?
Okay, we included all ages when we started the Potluck Society, which that included children. There was no specific age limit. And so when the children come, there was nothing to do for them in an adult situation. So we created the ages of, and we take even those that are 2-year-old to teach them the respect of the flag. So we open our service with what we call the master citizens, ranging from the age of 5 through 13, and the youth master citizens from there to 18. We have the program for the master citizens through the age 13. So now we have partnered with the ROTC of Claremont High School, and they are the instructors of our master citizens. We have an average of 8 children. We just finished a training session or a field training for these 5 to 13 age. And they get their awards in our adult program in August. That's just a nutshell of what they do.
That's awesome.
We're getting ready to have a peanut butter and jelly fundraising for the youth. And everybody brings a jar of peanut butter and jelly, your favorite jelly, small jars. And then we have a donation drawing, and it goes to the master citizens. We do have donors that support us also, the youth, because they support the veterans. They're involved with the veterans, and everything the veterans do, they are being taught by the ROTC, proper marching for the parade. And this is the 5 to 13, through 13. The youth above that they're already settled. And so it's very difficult for them to lower down, to start over with the flag, the respect of the flag. So that's how we integrated the youth.
What organization is yours?
Potluck Society, people out to learn using care and kindness. Our mission is history and education. All ages. Each age is set up in a name group project, and they are serviced even what we call the gray age, which is the age from that after 19, there is no assistance in the United States for that age. So we set up a program where that if a single parent wants to go back to college to increase their education or a job level up, we buy them a book for the subject they are taking. For the elderly, we have different programs.
It's neat. It's very neat.
We also go into the schools. We started out in the rural area. We have master citizens have a program for that. They collect codes. The school year ends, and we work with the superintendent of the school or the principal, whichever is available, And they send out a letter and ask every child to bring their coat in. We pick them up, we partner with the cleaners, and we have those coats cleaned and take them back to the school for students that do not have a coat. To go out and play, maybe they have a coat at home. That way they don't miss the activity outside. The coat is never returned, never picked up, unless they bring it back in at the end of the school year.
That's neat. So is that well received by the youth?
I'm sorry?
Is it well received by your youth? Do you have a lot of participation in that?
We have anywhere from, our largest crowd was 23 almost on an average, not average, our top youth, 17. When you bring the ROTC in, you open it up to them. They're under a different ruling. We work with the commander-chief of the high school ROTC, and he supervises the students.
Well, that's neat. That's a good thing. Yes.
A youth board,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get it through my head, it's not like a separate board, it's just you that you bring in to your board.
Yes.
Now, what is the average, I know it can be as many as you can handle, but what is the average for a small community with like a 5-member board, and you have a small community? What's your average youth board?
I would suggest a president, vice president, secretary, and a treasurer, and maybe a member if you have that many. So 5. I would recommend 5 on a board.
Okay, so you're looking at bringing in youth and each of them having a position just like the board members.
Yes. So they're going to learn those positions, and then they're going to have their own mission too. So their mission will be probably more tailored to the youth.
So they have their own meetings?
Yes. So that's another thing. They're going to be learning how to conduct meetings with, and I'm going to get into a little more about it, but there's going to be a coordinator for that. And I'll get into more about that, but.
Okay, is that on the same night or day that you have your meeting? Same time?
You could do it whatever you would.
Okay, because it's just new to me and I'm trying to understand it.
Right.
The average.
Right.
So, okay.
Yeah, I'll get in a little more detail about it. But anyway, so these programs are whenever youth are not responding well to programs or initiatives. So if you guys already have programs in place, like Claremore Group does, is it well received? So if it's not, this is a time that you can add a youth board. Or even if it is, you might want to add a youth board into it, or a youth rep. Now I'm going to talk more about the youth rep. Okay, so another point that I have, when is a good time to add a youth board? When you want to empower to prepare youth to take community leadership positions. So whenever we're wanting to empower them to step up to the plate, So that's a good time to add a board. Okay, let's talk about before you begin. So what are some things that we need to think about if we're going to begin to do this youth board? So you've already decided, you're like, yeah, I want to do this. This is something that could benefit my organization. But before you even start planning, what do we got to think about? So what we're going to think about is we're going to assess the needs. So do we need a youth board? You know what your communities are like. You know who they serve. Do we need a youth board at all? Do we even have youth? That's another thing we're going to look at. Do we have youth that we can have come in?
We can't let them stay in the cemetery, they'll die.
Everybody,
One way or another, they'll die.
everybody's dying to get in.
Yeah. So, whenever we're assessing, maybe we want a youth rep. So I'm going to talk about this youth rep. This youth rep would sit on your board. So you can do 1 or 2, however many you want to do, but they're going to sit on your board and they're going to advise you, basically. They're going to advise you with the youth. They're going to connect you with the youth. And you can do this before you even start a youth board, or you can do this when you're starting a youth board. So you can have a youth rep to help you recruit and help you plan the youth board stuff, right? So a youth rep would be a good, I think, definitely would be good for all your organizations to have, because it's gonna bring in that youth where you might not have it. So another thing we're gonna think about before we begin is support staff. I know we don't have staff usually on our organizations, but this support staff is gonna be the person, like, can you think about a person that would wanna take the coordinator position? Do we even have somebody that would be willing to work with youth? That's what we need to think about too before we even start doing the youth board. Do we have someone that might have the time, that might have the knowledge to take on this responsibility? Another thing we need to think about is getting everyone on board. So your boards, a lot of times our boards don't agree, right? We might have conflicts on our boards. Half of us might be, yes, let's do this. Half of us might say, no, I don't want to do that. But you can't have a youth board or a youth rep unless everybody's saying, yes, let's do this, right? It's just not going to work. So another thing we're going to think about before we begin is research. Who likes research? Anybody? Research, yeah, yes, yay, awesome. So we're gonna have research. You're gonna research other organizations that have junior boards. Even reach out to some other communities that you know that have junior boards, right? I think I've talked to an organization, but it was at large. They had a youth board, but it didn't really work out. But even if it didn't work out, you can talk with them. You can say what worked for them, what didn't work for them. And maybe they can give you some ideas of why it didn't work. And then you can fix those things for your organization. So building a successful youth board. So now we're all on board, right? So we're all like, yes, we want to have a youth board. We're ready to start. We did our research. We assessed the need for it. We want to do it. So when we're building, these are the things that we're going to think about when we're building. Our operational logistics, which is creating a handbook, scheduling and organizing meetings. We're going to think about recruiting members. We're going to think about application and the selection process. We're going to think about the coordinator. And we're going to think about funding and budgeting. Those are things that's definitely a need. We need to make sure that we have the funding, we have the budgeting, we know how this is going to work. And then tracking success. And I put tracking success in there for evaluation because that's going to show you guys what worked, what didn't work. So if you want to start a board the next year, you guys can fix the problems that you're seeing. So operational logistics, first we're going to talk about creating the handbook. So what goes into that? Whenever you say, yes, I want to have this board, you need to get with your board members or you need to get with a planning committee and you're going to create a handbook. And this is going to have your name of your organization or the youth board. So it could be Cherokee County Youth Board, if your organization's a Cherokee County nonprofit. But I also suggest that if you do have youth boards, your first batch of youth, they can come up with a name. They might have some creative names to name themselves. Let them have a say. That will help them keep coming back and keeping them engaged. The other thing in creating the handbook is background and history. So if we're just now starting this youth board, we might not have the background. We might not have a lot of history. But what we'll have is the why. So why we started this organization. What is our mission? Why are we even doing this, right? And then the when. So when it was established. The next thing we're going to think about is membership requirements. This is where we're going to get into the age. So we got to think about, where are we targeting? Who are we targeting? Are we targeting the middle school students? Are we targeting the high school students, the college age students? So we got to think about who we're going to target for this board. And the grade. What are their grade requirements? When I was on a junior board, it was, for one of my organizations, it was a junior or a senior. You had to be a junior or a senior to even apply. So you got to think about the grades. You could do a 9th through 12th grade. So residents or organization member. So are you going to require them to live in your jurisdiction, in your community? Or if, say, I'm going to throw this out for example, but Boys and Girls Club, right? Do they have to be a member of Boys and Girls Club before they can even apply to be on your junior board? So that's something you need to think about. You need to have it written down in your handbook. And then the number of board members. So how many are you going to require? And the application and terms of tenure. So are you going to allow them to just serve 1 year? You know, and is that 1 year one physical year, or is that 1 year from a school year, August through May? You know, you got to think about that too. And the application too. I'm going to talk more about the application, but you got to have an application. You got to have the rules for the application and what you're going to look for in an application in your handbook. And roles and responsibilities. So is it going to run like an actual board? Or you might change the name and be a youth committee, youth advisory committee. So maybe it's not a board. Maybe it's just a committee. Maybe you just have 5 youth that are come together and plan events for you. There's a committee, right? Other things that we're going to think about in the operational logistics is scheduling and organizing meetings. How often will meetings be held? We need to make sure we know that. Think about short workshops or guest speakers at meetings. So this whole point of the youth board is for everybody to learn about how to run a meeting. So you might have a workshop. You might invite Vince, me, or Brad to come and talk to your youth board and give them some workshops. Or you can have a guest speaker. Maybe it's a mayor. Maybe it's somebody influential in your community that can really gear some good ideas and points to your youth. A motivational comedian. Hey, bring somebody in like that. Get those youth having fun. So let's talk about some recruiting members. Are they already involved with your organization? Can anybody apply? So when you're recruiting, first we got to think about where we're going to be recruiting. So are they already within our organization? So I know that you have a lot. So you have 23, you said 30 youth in your organization that deal with your youth initiatives.
Ranging from the ages of 5 and then the younger children also through high school.
Right. So you might be, if you're going to start a junior board or even a youth rep, you might just look into having one of them. You know, or you can open it to anybody in your community. They can apply. Many youth council boards find recruiting their #1 challenge. Do you guys agree that maybe recruiting might be the #1 challenge? Because it's hard to find those students willing to participate, right? So I'm going to give you some ideas on recruitment suggestions. Middle schools or high schools, churches. Maybe we can recruit there. So whenever I found out about the junior board that I served on, they brought their representative, their coordinator to our high school. And they contacted our superintendent. They asked to have all sophomores and all juniors come to the auditorium. So they gave us a presentation on, hey, you know, here's an opportunity for you guys to volunteer. Here's an opportunity for you guys to get some resume additions, you know, and some experience. So they came to our high school, and that's how I found out applying. So they really talked it up too. So that's another thing you guys have to do is talk up your organization. Talk up your youth board and how it's going to benefit them. And churches. And another recruitment suggestion is on and offline. So where is most of our youth? Where are they?
Online.
Yeah, there they are. They're on Facebook, or maybe not Facebook, but maybe Twitter. Yes. Do you guys have a Twitter account? No?
Not as a board.
Not as a board, but as individual.
Mm-hmm.
So you could probably share some stuff as an individual, you know, on your Twitter account. Instagram. That's where a lot of them are too. Do you guys not have Instagram, or do you? Instagram's great. It's my favorite. I don't really get on Facebook that much, but Instagram, that's where I am.
I barely do email.
Well, you might have somebody in your organization that might be more tech savvy, right? Or somebody that might have an Instagram. So that's where you're gonna share your application and say, hey, we're gonna start this, invite them out to come out and hear about it, hear about the youth board, or even just have them come and apply. And then offline too, we can't forget about paper. You know, I know people always say paper is going away, but I don't think it is. I really don't. And I'm 26, so I don't think it's going away. So we can use posters, we can use newspapers, put an ad in those newspapers. And who's reading the newspapers? What's the demographic?
Old people like us.
So you might be targeting, I'm going to get to it again, it's at the bottom of this slide, but you might be targeting grandparents. You might be targeting parents. Where do some high school students get their information? Parents. I got a lot of my information from mom. She's like, hey, you need to go apply for this. I'm like, okay, I guess so. And I did, I do. Because she's like, oh, this will help you on your resume. And then my grandma, she also told me I need to go volunteer for one of her organizations. She kind of helped out with the Adair County Historical Society, and she was like, hey, here's a volunteer to get your volunteer hours. So don't forget about them too. Don't forget about the parents. Don't forget about the grandparents. They can relay that message. People who are influential in the community. That's another place you can recruit. Who's influential in your community?
Banker, storekeeper.
Right. They might be able to either share that on their social media pages if they're influential, or they can post it in their businesses for the parents and grandparents to see. Who else is influential in our communities?
Chamber of Commerce.
Right. What'd you say?
Teachers.
Right. What about tribal counselors? Right? They're influential in our communities. Maybe they have a social media page. They can share stuff. They can relay that message. What about state representatives? We can also reach out to them too. Don't be scared to reach out to them and say, hey, share this. We would really appreciate it. So don't forget about those influential people in your communities. And then parents and guardians, I already talked about this, but you can target them too. They can relay that message. So application and selection process. We're going to talk some more about this. Are you going to have an application, or will you use a nomination system? So a nomination system, that's for maybe youth who don't really think that they're good enough. Maybe they do a lot of volunteer, but they're not going to go out there and say, hey, I do this, hey, I do that. Hey, I want to join your board. Maybe they're just kind of timid or shy. So a nomination system would be good for that, whenever people can say, I nominate this student because of all their achievements. Will there be an interview process? That's another thing you have to think about whenever you're going to have a junior board or a junior rep. Are you going to have an interview process? Who will be making selections? Are you going to have a selection committee? not just one person can interview people, because you want to have multiple ideas, multiple people evaluating these people, right? And then make a rubric. So you want to have a rubric whenever you're doing evaluations, and you want to have, or evaluations, nominations, or applications and interviews. You want to have a rubric to go by. That's how you're going to grade people. Which I wouldn't just grade people on, or students on, academic success. I would have other ways for them to prove that they're ready for this position. So the coordinator role, yes.
Are there guidelines? Do you have printables on those items that we just talked about? Or is that something we're going to have to research?
No, actually I have this document where I found all this information. I can print it for you guys.
Awesome.
Or I could even email it to you.
Email it, yeah.
Yeah, so you guys can go off these guidelines. And if that's something you're interested in, because I wasn't really sure who was going to really be interested in this, so if you guys are, let me know, and I'll email you some guidelines to go by. So the coordinator role, the ideal youth board coordinator will be passionate about working with youth. He or she will also be able to give the board members guidance and mentorship while allowing them to have autonomy and ownership of their projects. So you got to think about in your organizations who represents the best coordinator role. If you really are wanting to implement this youth board, you got to have someone, maybe 2 people, to really coordinate that youth board.
Not to scare anybody off, but the coordinator position is really important.
It really is.
It really is important because look, you're talking about a junior board. It's good to teach them things like parliamentary procedure. It's good to teach them things like budgeting. If they're a junior board, which is pretty much working under your umbrella of your board, allocate them a small budget. Give them a budget. Give them money to spend on certain things. Give them money to spend on fundraisers. Give them something to do. So that's what the coordinator is going to do as well. It's just going to be kind of an overseer while you're going to let the youth actually do the stuff, do the work. The coordinator position is mainly just there to kind of give them guidance, as KenLea said. So, have them teach them how to take proper meeting minutes. It still comes under the laws of Oklahoma. Your junior board needs to have their minutes, needs to have their budgets where everybody can see them, needs to have pretty much the Open Records, Open Meetings Act, needs to follow all those rules. The youth can learn those during this. It may not be as stringent as what your boards go through with this, but this is definitely a learning opportunity for the youth. Once they learn this stuff through their coordinator, they can actually, the transition from the youth board to maybe positions in your board to keep your board stronger and keep it going will be a little bit less difficult for them.
Yeah.
So the coordinator is very
right.
important.
And if you guys and if you guys don't, like I said, if you don't feel comfortable, teaching this, you can ask one of us to come in, or as TA specialists to your organizations and your groups. We can come in, we can teach this to your boards, to your junior boards. So utilize what you have, right? Your assets. So funding and budgeting. That's another thing we have to think about when we're building this plan is funding and budgeting. Where can we find funding and budgeting? Or where can we find funding?
Grants.
Dang it, you guys saw it. Yeah, grants. We can find some grants out there that are youth board oriented or youth development oriented and use those.
And there are grants out there for
There is.
for youth.
Yeah, you just gotta go search for them. We also can get funding from individuals. Maybe there's some key people in our communities that might be really interested in helping our youth. And we haven't tapped into them yet, right? So we need to think about individuals, local businesses. even if these local businesses don't donate money, they could donate other things for us to fundraise with, right? So don't forget about them. Utilize them. Stakeholders. So stakeholders who are already have stake in our organizations. They might be willing to throw us some funding or some help, so don't forget about them. And of course, fundraisers. We can get funding from fundraisers. Those are, I think, the biggest for the youth boards to do for them. They should be handling the fundraisers. Maybe you guys can have a fundraiser to get started. Say, hey, we're trying to start this youth board. We're holding a fundraiser for that. But fundraisers, I think, would be a great idea for your boards to implement on their own. So they can brainstorm some ideas, come up with the best fundraiser they think would reach their target audience. And then involve your youth council members in grant writing. This will give them a great first-hand experience in budgeting and development. So when you're looking for grants, maybe you haven't got a grant yet to start the organization or start the youth board, but maybe you're looking at grants after you've started. And implementing your youth board in grant writing will teach them those skills that they can have later on. So they already know how to grant write whenever they get to your positions. If they take your positions, if you want them to take your position. Evaluate. So the next thing that I want to really point out is evaluate. This is really important. Tracking success or failures is a key ingredient to overall success. Why is evaluations important?
You have to know if it's going to be a success. You've got to keep track of those things.
Right.
Are we failing? Are we doing okay?
Right. We need those.
To do something different?
Yeah, we need those evaluations. You can't just have a youth board and say, hey, I have a youth board, without evaluating it. Because how are you going to know if it worked? Yeah.
Experience is the greatest teacher.
It is. It is. And that's why you guys.
When it doesn't work, you go on to the next.
Right.
And don't look back at the last one you just failed in.
Exactly. Take it from her. She knows.
Do I know?
So some reasons why we want to evaluate is members can celebrate success and figure out what to improve on, which we kind of discussed that already. Positive outcomes can be used to build a case for new and ongoing funding. So if we have these evaluations done and we say, oh, this worked, we can present it to some of our potential funders. We can say, hey, our board's working. You guys might want to help us out, Results can be communicated to people in the community. So maybe some of the community members said, oh, that's not going to work, or oh, that wasn't a great idea. But if you're tracking your success, and I'm hoping it will succeed, you can say, hey, look, we are doing good. We created this board, and it's working. People outside of the community might also be interested in learning about your youth board. So that's another important thing we need to do when we have evaluations, is have those evaluations. So maybe the community across the way or in another jurisdiction, maybe they want to start a youth board. They don't know how. And now you have all these tools to teach them, this is what succeeded, this is what didn't work for us, but you can give them some idea of how to go about it, how to start it, how to fix things. So we're going to talk about some evaluation methods, because I think this is really important. I've been trying to say this is really important. So I want, even if you don't have a youth board or going to start a youth board, evaluation methods. You guys can be evaluating your events, your organization as a whole, and your youth board. Hopefully you guys will start a youth board. So some ways that we can track success: spreadsheets. How do spreadsheets work?
Track things.
Yeah.
You keep that documentation.
Yes. So spreadsheets will work whenever we want to see if members have been making every event, or if we've been raising enough money. We can kind of have spreadsheets to see what our events are bringing in if we're doing fundraisers. That can be an evaluation method. Another evaluation method is surveys, pre and post surveys. And I think this one's a perfect one for youth boards too. So whenever you have these youth boards coming in, why don't you give them a survey that says, what do you hope to learn? What do you hope to get out of this experience? And so then by the end of their year or end of their term, you can also give them a post survey. It says, what did you learn? What did you get out of this? So then you can evaluate if your program is actually working. You can see if they got what they needed out of this program or out of the youth board.
You can ask, how can we improve?
Yeah, you can ask in your post survey, ask how the program can be improved. That'll give you some ideas of how to go about the next year. And another way is group discussion. Group discussion's a great one. We were having discussion all day, right? And you guys maybe learned some things from other people, some new ideas. Group discussion works really well. What are some other evaluation methods? I didn't write them on here, but I want to see what you guys can come up with. How do you guys evaluate your events or your boards?
Discussion.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see, you all do fundraisers as boards. What are some ways that you evaluate your fundraisers?
Cost, finance, total, whether we made anything.
Yeah.
Profits.
Yeah, profits.
Attendance, maybe, you know. How many people attended? Do you keep attendance records, maybe? You know, I mean, they may not be exactly accurate, but it'll give you a decent picture of, you know, something that does work and something that doesn't work.
Anybody have any other methods, ideas?
Are you talking about the youth board or
No, just in general. Like
your board, right now.
What are some evaluation methods you use?
I don't have a youth board yet.
Potluck. Just potluck.
Oh,
Just your organization. Just
definitely
events.
by keeping up what has happened and giving them a full report and say this is what happened. And this is what we use this program for. We won't use it again because people didn't come, because we send out 200 cards a month to get our attendance there.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe that could be like journaling, kind of journaling
right.
what you.
I don't have a form that I use. I don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing about it is the report that you're talking about, it'll be in your minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be in the minutes. It'll be there forever.
Yeah, and that's a form
All
of
reports have to
evaluation.
be given to the secretary
Yes.
of each committee that I have.
Yes.
Right.
So that's a form of evaluation. Some other forms of evaluation is photographs. What about photographs? Right?
Yes. Definitely.
Right. We should be doing that anyway, even if it isn't for evaluations. We should be taking photos and publicizing what we're doing, what our organizations are doing. So maybe we're taking an initiative to clean up the cemetery. Take photos of what it looked like before, and then pictures of what it looked like after your volunteers came or your organization came and cleaned it up, right? So we can evaluate it that way as well. So some other evaluations we can do is checklist. So create a list of what we want to do in this year, what we want to do, and we kind of check off.
I can tell whenever everybody's there and when they can't be there. And so if you're talking about my adults,
Yeah.
they have to sign in.
Yeah.
A lot of times you can't get all of them signed in, but we've got some that don't sign in. And what we done was we do our door prizes, we used to do it with tickets. We've done away with the tickets, and now they have to have their name on that sign-in sheet before they can win a door prize, so now they're all signing in. Something like a door prize.
There you go. Initiatives. Initiatives are
But they all
good.
sign in for that door
Yeah,
prize.
there you
and they
go.
can't-
Well, that's through the history of our, we've been, what, 14 years? And when our numbers start slacking, yeah, we're screwing up. We gotta change.
Yeah.
And on the sign-in note, I just want to make sure that everybody signs in before they leave. For your hours.
Yes.
You know,
Yes, we
in
want to
case
get those
sign up.
hours. Another way is focus group. You know, have a focus group with if you're going to do board members for the youth, or you can just do members of your organization too to see where you guys are in your organization. Do a focus group. And then another thing that I think is really a good idea whenever you're working with the youth is do a parent focus group. So then you can see if it's working, if what your leadership skills you're instilling in these youth are actually working at home. You know, you can have those parent focus groups as well. So is there anything else? Anybody else have any methods that we can learn from of how to evaluate? Not just in junior boards, but overall in everything we do.
So I have a question. So if you have a huge event, let's say it's a fundraiser, and you had a huge turnout, just a wonderful turnout, but you only made like $50. Is that a successful event?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's about your community, and if you have a
Oh, yeah.
wonderful turnout, as long as you didn't go in the hole with the fundraiser, you have to evaluate it, and then you determine, well, it was a success because we had this huge turnout. So then what do you do the next time to fix it to where you make more money with that huge turnout?
Right.
Again, evaluating is very important. It doesn't matter which way you evaluate, but you should always evaluate to see if something was successful or not.
Yeah, so we have a bingo once a month. We have a concession that goes with it. The concession, we have to buy food stuff for that concession, which we basically just break even with the concession, but it draws in the people who play the bingo, so we make a profit.
Right.
So we're really not making a lot off of the concession. Sometimes we enter $12 or so, but it pulls those in because they come in there after work and they eat and they play bingo, and so we make the profits that way.
Very good.
So that's, so we keep that.
Yeah.
Goal.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you shut down the concession,
People
you
start
might
falling off.
lose people.
And our hog fry is never for.
That's
any
never
money.
That's never a
It's
profit.
just for the community.
Yeah, that's never.
Yeah, it's not a fundraiser.
Do you put a donation jar or something
That's about
out?
$2,000 to do the whole thing.
Do you put a donation jar or something out? People to
We
put a
did it
donation?
last time. We didn't get a whole lot.
But we got exposure, we get exposure, we get many people from that, so
That's
that,
great.
you know.
You have to determine what your goal is.
Right.
Whether you have success or not. If you don't have a goal, like with boy, you shot an arrow in the air, where it landed, you not where it went from the target.
Yeah.
Couldn't have hit it, because he didn't have one.
Right.
So you have to have a goal in order to determine your success. We had a woman who wanted to raise money for youth to go camp, and we figured a good dinner would be fine. My wife and I bought $200 worth of food, and when it's up, she wanted to have control of everything, so we bought the food, she took off, and when it's all said and done, we lost $50. So that was a failure, but we had it short. And the next time she made money, she learned, she didn't price it high. We told her she wouldn't price it high enough. But we don't want to overprice it. Well, when you lose money, you're not overpricing it. But her goal was to gain money, so that would be a failure. On the other hand, when you're wanting exposure, then you still hit your goal.
Now,
You have to know what your target is. in order to make
Our hog fry, I'm still evaluating it. Because, it does reach people, but, without some kind of help sometimes from our councilman, it's a loss, a big loss. And it really digs into our bank account. So that's something we have to really look at. If we don't get any help from the councilman, there might not be any way we could even do it. Still looking at all.
And it is okay to fail. because that's how you learn, that's how you grow, and that's how you fix the problems. So don't think, like, if something fails, don't think that's the end. I'm done, I don't want to do this again, you know?
Do you know how many times Thomas Edison failed?
How many?
I have no idea.
Oh.
But he failed hundreds and hundreds of times. But he's got 2 successes and they still talk about it.
Exactly.
So, what you learn from failure is what not to do again.
Right.
Now, I can't, doesn't mean you won't be a success. He failed a lot of times, but he made himself a success eventually.
Amen. Yes, that's what we can learn. We can learn from that. So yes, thank you guys a lot for, sitting here and listening to my youth stuff. And I really hope you guys can take something back to your organizations and kind of, if you guys think this is a great idea to form a youth council, maybe have a youth rep, you can contact me and I'll even work with you guys. And I'll help you guys a lot because I really believe in the youth. I'm making that my priority with you guys. So thank you guys, and I'm going to leave you guys with this quote: alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Think about that and use that. Thank you. Oh, my references, this is where I got this stuff, but I can, like I said, questions too. You guys have any questions? Hit me.
What does it feel like to be young?
Well, I believe you only as young as you feel.
That's what
right?
they say, but my body doesn't believe it.
It's not the mind, it's your body.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still act childish.